G'day guys, it's Stuart here from WS Tackle World. Here to do the fishing report again for this week, and another week without my good mate Dougie. However, we'll get cracking straight along to it. And just really quickly guys, firstly I would like to apologise and thank you. Last weekend we did unfortunately have no phone lines, and we had till problems and stuff like that after the storm on Friday afternoon. And yeah, all the customers came in very forgiving and understanding about the whole thing. So it is resolved now guys, back to normal, and yeah. So anyway, cracking right along. So fishing report this week. First of all, check the weather. So Friday, Saturday and Sunday, what's going to be happening weather-wise. So the weather does look all right. Friday's definitely the pick of the days. Light winds up until about that, say 10 or 11 o'clock mark at this point in time. And same thing on Saturday as well. So light winds talking like up to about 5 knots until that, say 10 or 11 o'clock. And then you've got a northeasterly sea breeze that comes to it around about 15 knots each day. Sunday, definitely the windiest out of the 3 days. You're looking at around about, say, 10 to 12 knots straight up of the morning, still east-northeast, and it does get a little bit stronger through the day, but stays under that, say, 15 to 18 knots. So it can be manageable, but if you want to get out there and get amongst the offshore stuff, I definitely would try to do it Saturday morning. It looks to pick at this stage. And swell-wise, basically not much at all. We do have a little bit of swell that comes through late Sunday to Monday at around about 1.5 metres. So still quite manageable. You will have a run-out tide early morning around the seaway, so do watch out for that. But at the moment, it's quite all right to cross. So, what's been happening on the fishing scene? We'll start out wide. So last weekend we had really nice weather on that Sunday. We had a few customers get out there and deep drop, and they caught a few barcod, and there's been a few bass and stuff like that up around that, say, anywhere from 300 to 600 metres type of area, up off Point Lookout and up off the pin as well, and down around Jims and Mix and stuff like that, straight off east of the seaway. There's been a few blue eye and a few barcod and bass groper around that type of area as well. But is it accessible this weekend? Look, it's going to be a bit of an average run out because you do have that easterly, so you're going to push against it the whole way out. If you've got a bigger boat, it will be manageable at this stage. But apart from that, yeah, definitely take a look on the weather and the current as well. So we have another customer, he does a lot of deep drop in, and he fished yesterday and there was like 3 to 4 knots of current out there. So look, the current's really picking up guys. It's getting really hard to fish out there. There is still fish biting, but you just got to be mindful of that current. So go way up drift of your mark, and definitely always back down and try to keep those lines as vertical as you can. So rig wise, again, still just a standard 3-hook Paternoster type rig. That's just our immediate light one, sorry. So 130 pound main and droppers. More of a snapper and pearly rig, but we use them for flame snapper and stuff, and little barcod out to about, say, 300, 350 metres. So while we're on the snapper scene, snapper and pearlies yesterday, they bit quite well from that, say, 36 to 50 fathoms, and just on the outside edge. A few little barcod around that type of area as well. So good option with that weather, quite nice at the moment. And as well, those northeast 50s fad and the northeast 36 fad had quite a few dolphin fish on there the last couple of days as well. So it's definitely a good option guys. If you want to go out there nice and early, which I definitely would recommend for any fishing, just try to get an early start. But work those fads on the way out, and you can generally put a couple of fish in the esky straight up. So dolphin fish wise, little stick baits have still been really good. So just that small size, under 100 mil, up to about 120 if you want to go a little bit bigger, but try to stay under that 150 mil size. So that's just a little venom and a little muscle shot from Jackson on the bottom. And look, those fellas work a treat, slow sinking, does all the right stuff, throw it out towards the fad, let it sink down a little bit, and just a bit of a rake or a couple of aggressive twitches and wind up the slack. And try to mix it up. You'll get the dolphin fish pretty interested, and then the game one out of the pack will have an attack on it, have a hit, and if it misses, the other ones are then fired up and they'll bite as well. So that's a great option for the guys that want to throw lures and stuff like that around there. If not, half pillies or pieces of slimy or Even liveys have been working pretty good as well around those fads. And trolling skirts has been not too bad as well. So just small skirts, that 6-inch type size. The one with the silver fins, that's just a Bill's mark. So dolphin fish like shiny stuff, and they work a treat. And the other one, the little fat boy in evil color, it's a bit of a tried and proven, works really good every year. And as well, guys, we've got a massive order of fat boys due in tomorrow. So we'll have nearly a full range of those little light tackle skirts ready to go. We do rig them in store, so it's nice and easy. All you got to do is just clip them on, put them out, and hopefully wind the fish in. So they work really good as well, trolling around that fad type area, and as well, like you just get them trolling around kind of in the paddock, like in the open area as well, up to say 500 meters to a K around a fad as well. So if there's heaps of boats right on the fad, try to just push on the outer skirts and troll, and you'll catch the larger size fish, kind of like free roaming around. Look, while we're on the fads, guys, there's always mention now of people spot locking and fishing on the fads and stuff like that. Please be mindful of other people fishing them. Look, they're there for everyone to use and enjoy, and to be honest, you'll catch less fish if you spot lock anyway. You're way better off going up drift of it, drifting back to it. Everything looks more natural. The baits will actually sink. So if you're spot locked in current with no sinkers and stuff like that on your bait, and you think that you're fishing back to the fad and doing a really good job, your baits are going to be way too high. They're going to be sitting on the top, and they don't have a chance to sink, and you won't be catching as many as the guys drifting past you. So it is way easier and better for everyone if everyone just drifts and has a great old time and gets amongst them together. While we're up that area, kingy jigging. Kingy's been really good on that northeast 50s as well. As I said before, bit of current started. Generally, at the moment, that current is stronger, a bit wider. There hasn't been too much around the 50s itself, but just jigging, obviously it's going to pick up, but so anywhere around that 150 to 200 gram type size. So quite a small jig. The beauty about the small jig, guys, easy to work. So bigger the jig, harder they are to work, and it really, really wears you out. Whereas that 150 to 200 gram size is not too bad. You can jig it all day, and yeah, and the kingies have been hitting that size jig as well. So it's not too big, and it's not too small. Apart from that, guys, offshore wise, coming in a bit more. So I actually fished a 24 fathoms southeast yesterday, like off a Q1 type area. Chasing snapper, found schools and schools and schools of them on the sounder, and I jigged it, I threw plastics at it, and I float lined it, and none of them would bite. And I'm going to put that down to the current running uphill. So anyone that fished around that southeast 24s yesterday, or like around Diamond as well, probably would have noticed the same thing current wise. So it's right, when I say uphill, it's running from south to north. It's very less than ideal. So that's kind of what I'm going to stick with for why they didn't bite. Has it turned around yet? I don't know. I haven't spoke to anyone out there today, but look, try to find somewhere with that current that is running from north to south, so standard direction. I had a couple of mates that fished on the 36s, and they caught fish, and it was running that north to south, so standard time, and they smacked them actually. They caught quite a few, and stuff like that ball jig, so the Koga type style, they've been working really good. Not much current out there either in that 36 fathom line, so 45 to 60 grams is plenty enough. And just fish light leaders, guys, so like 20 pound mainline, 20 pound braid, and say 20 pound leader as well. 30 if you want to go a little bit heavier, but there's no real need. So they're decent sized fish, but the lighter line definitely gets your light jigs floating down a lot better, more natural. So that's something to try as well. Apart from that, last of the offshore stuff, mackerel. So mackerel have definitely started. They've been down. There have been a couple up off the pin, but not many. They weren't really biting last Sunday for the customers that I spoke to that went up there. But down south, so down around Palm Beach Reef, and a couple on the gravel patch as well. Plenty of spotties. So spinning metals, really good for people that want to kind of actively fish for it. So you can drift through everyone, try to keep out of everyone's way while you're doing it, but and just spin little metals like those fellas. So up to about say 35, 40 grams. Work quite well. Nice light colours, like anything with a bit of flash, bit of shiny stuff on it, they love. And apart from that, anchor up, burley, and you can catch them doing that as well. So half pillies just on our little pre-tied mackerel rig. So it's just a single hook, about a 2 or 3/0. A little bit of 20-pound wire, very small swivel up the top, and half a pilly. Works a treat at anchor. Different options, you can definitely troll. So if the boats aren't too packed together, you can troll through them, but just be mindful of everyone's lines out the back. If not, just do laps around. So quite often you'll have schools of mackerel just patrolling around the edges of reefs and trolling little hard bodies this time of year for spotties. So that's just a pacemaker, Samaki pacemaker on the top, little Helco Laser Pro down the bottom. So small size. They've been working the treat as well. Do you run them on a wire trace or mono? I just run them on mono because they dive deeper and they dive a bit nicer as well, swim harder. If not, slow troll and pillies. So we just whack a whole pilly on these little pilly rigs that we do in the store. Nose cone, easy as to rig. And yeah, so these little fellas you troll just in gear, just so your baits don't fly out the top or anything like that. And yeah, if you just cruise around at less than say 3 knots, 4 knots, and they're bound to get hit. Trolling the hard body guys, I generally stick under 6 knots. So I still troll about say 4 or 5 knots for those little fellas as well. 6 knots max. I think that's about it offshore guys. Spanner crab closure still on, so no spanner crabbing. And yeah. Apart from that, heaps of bait offshore. So where there's bait, there's fish. So definitely fish around those bait schools that you find on the 24s and 36s, and you'll catch snapper and stuff underneath them, and maybe the odd dolly. Yeah. Now inside. So I fished on the inside as well. We'll start off the pin butt. So up the pin, still been plenty of flatties around. I'd definitely be trying, as I said last week, try to fish around those bar mouths. So like around the pin bar itself or around the seaway. You're going to find cleaner water. We've had a bit of rain and the tides this week haven't been really big, but the water's quite dirty in that middle section. So around say Koran and around Jacob's Well and all that type of area. It's quite discoloured just from that bit of rain runoff and the big tides we had last week. So I'd definitely be trying more around the pin bar itself or the new lagoons up the pin end as well. So casting little plastics have been working really good. Again, said it last week, but those little bait junkie prawns, I actually gave them a shot this week. They work really well. They swim really nice as well. And just a little bait junkie like jerk shad type style as well. So that's just a 5-inch, not too big, but great colour and pine lime glow, I think that one's called. And yeah, just rig them on say a 1/4 ounce or a 1/6 ounce head. You want that real natural slow sink this time of year. The flatties aren't really fired up, so they are taking more of a bit of a look at it before they just come out and wallop it. But yeah, so they've been working quite good. Just fish around like the edges of where the trees come in at Kalinga and along the front of Duck Creek. Don't go in Duck Creek, it is still a green zone. I don't know if they put that sign back there yet, but it is. And yeah, so around that area. And then over tip of South Stratty, like around those lagoons, around all those weed beds, there's been a lot of bait in there, a lot of that little white bait type stuff. And there's been quite a few flatties in there as well. So that's a good option. If not, a little bit easier fishing, whiting fishing. So around, again, Kalinga Bank where it wraps around the corner and goes kind of west. There's been quite a few whiting around that area on both yabbies and worms. We just use cured beach worms. They're readily accessible. We sell them in the shop here, but they're easy as to use, guys. So no real smell. Keep them in your freezer until you want to use them. So you've always got bait ready and they're ready to go. Just cut off a little bit, just enough to cover the hook, leave a little tail and run them just on a size 4 long shank. So that's been working really good. If not, yabbies work quite well as well if you want to pump them. And there's been also a lot of whiting over in those bays as well, so the lagoons on the northern end of South Stratty. Plenty of bream and stuff around there as well, so you'll catch a bit of bycatch. Coming back down a little bit closer, so say Tipler's area, been a fair few sandies around there, all the weed beds, and just put your pots on the edges of the channels, guys. So bit more tidal flow. Sandy's like tidal flow on that shaly type bottom. So edge of the channels kind of have all that, tick all the boxes. And it's been quite productive up around there. There's been the odd muddy around there as well. So always good. Been a few threadies up around, Jacob's Well and Rudy Mars type area and Cabbage Tree Point. So that western block, it is dirtier water, but threadies don't seem to mind. They use those big feelers to feel and feed and stuff like that anyway. So their eyesight isn't the best. So the water clarity doesn't really matter to them too much, doesn't make too much of a difference. Coming back down this end, so say Coran South, so Coran Cove South, plenty of sandies around that area as well. All through the Aldershots. I actually put my pots out on Tuesday and brought them back in Wednesday and got quite a good feed, some really big crabs. And I didn't measure any of them to compare with Dougie's ones that he reckons are about a metre across, but I'm not going to say they're that big, but they're pretty decent size. So so around that area, try to, again, just put your pots on the edges of the channels in that little bit deeper water on the edges of the weed beds, and you're sure to fire to get a feed of sandies. Back down a little bit further south, so around Crab Island, I did have a bit of a fish for flatties over the last couple of days, and caught quite a few actually. So it's still, they're still there, guys, still really good. I just cast the bigger hard bodies, so those duo tide minnows, still a great little lure. And look, in that hard bite, so that halfway out type of tide, which you'll have mid-morning, it's just kind of, there's enough water on the flats for the fish to be there, but not enough for you to be up there in a boat. It's going to be a bit harder. Chuck on some scent, guys. Look, I've been using this bait pot for quite a while. I know I rabbit on about it quite a bit, but it really, really does work. So for the guys with live scope, it's a sonar intensifier. For the guys that don't have live scope, like myself and most of the other people out there, it's got glitter. So it's a scent with glitter in it. The perfect thing is when the glitter wears off, you know when to reapply it, and it's very visual. So works a treat, and the flatties seem to really like it. So as well, been a few schools of tailor cutting through that middle section of the Broadwater. I got some the other day as well, just on small little hard bodies, and just casting them, jerking them around heaps, really erratic, and plenty of fun on the light gear. Canals have been fishing pretty good, still plenty of jacks around the canals, guys, and little surface lures, early morning, late Arvy, been working really good, like the splash prawn and those little slippery dogs from Diver. Oh, there goes the splash prawn. But little slippery dog from Diver's been really good. Plenty of big brim on it as well, and trevally. So around those Paradise Point and Runaway Bay canals, been some pretty decent GTs in there at the moment. So that's like kind of a welcome bycatch when you're jack fishing. And apart from that, drifting in that western channel, so the western side of crab and stuff like that, still plenty of school, like little winter whiting and stuff like that in the channel. The odd squid, summer whiting, and all those little grassies and general like kind of mixed broadwater fish, I'd say. Little squire, and just jigging little vibes. So they've been working really good. We've just come off those small tides, so they should start feeding pretty hard once that tide starts picking up and running a little bit harder. But just those little fellas, so you don't have to cast them, you can just drop them straight beside the boat, drift with the boat, and just jig them vertically, just off the bottom. Just make sure you have bottom contact every couple of jigs, just to make sure you're still down in the strike zone. Closer to the seaway, so I fished like the back of wave break as well for flatties, and I caught a few around there, and out the front of the Aqua building, so around the Grand. But as well, guys, there's so many whiting down there. So while I was drifting over the flats, just casting those big hard bodies that I showed you before, there was whiting flashing around in the shallows everywhere. So good option to get down there and fish some unweighted yabbies or little pieces of worm and stuff like that over those sand flats on the run-in tide. Last of the run-out won't be too bad as well, but first of that run-in, that fresh water that pushes up, or the clean, nice, salty water that pushes up, definitely gets them fired up pretty quickly. So definitely a good option for you. Look, heaps of sand crabs down that way as well, around Crab and down to around out the front of Bayview Towers, just on the edges of the weed there as well. I think that's about it for the Broadwater guys. Oh, Nerang River really quickly. Heaps of jacks up that way and still some good trevally around the pontoons and stuff like that as well. Bycatch. And the whiting have been biting pretty good up that way as well. So again, should have pretty good tides for it around about, say, Sunday, early next week as well. You want that last of the run out tide on dark or just after dark. So yeah, it'll be quite good up there. Just yabbies or worms again work quite well. That's another good option. Freshwater guys, plenty of bass around. Obviously we've had a couple of arvo storms. Storms generally bring wind and rain, and it like knocks a lot of bugs and stuff like that out of the trees. So little surface lures before and after those storm activities work really good. They're just some little poppers. They're both actually from Shimano. So that one down on the bottom, it's a bit of a walk-in popper. So it's got like a little fin underneath it. It's got a little funnel out the top, so it does spit and spray a fair bit of water, but they've been working quite well and they cast an absolute mile. So the top one there's just a new Ligon. Been out for a little bit, got that flash boost in it, and they've been working good as well. So work them nice and slow, guys. Throw it out underneath the trees, close as you can. Let those rings, when the water when the lure hits the water, dissipate to about a meter, meter and a half away from the lure, and then just a couple of little twitches or a little pop, and then let it do it again. You want to focus in that strike zone as long as you can, and keep it right in there. So yeah, hopefully those tips help a little bit, guys, for this week's fishing report. Really quick one. I'm sure you would have noticed. Everyone's asking, geez, what's Stewie's 12 days of Christmas? Well, Christmas is coming up, and 12 days out, you'll see a lot of other shops already starting their 12 days of Christmas. Well, traditionally, 12 days of Christmas has started 12 days before Christmas, and I'm a bit of a traditionalist, so I'm going to wait. But the deals are worth the wait, guys, because Dougie's away, and Stewie's going to play. So the deals are worth it. Stewie's 12 days of Christmas coming up. Stay tuned, and the deals are not to be missed. There's a big deal for everybody. Thanks, guys.